So have you ever wondered why life sometimes seems to be way more difficult than it should be? Well, one of the reasons for that is not anything to do with the exterior world at all, but it's actually all stuff that is living in here in your subconscious mind. So today I wanted to do a little video to illuminate just how powerful your subconscious mind is and talk about some of the secrets that you're going to find there. So if you're wondering what those are, then be sure to keep watching. Hello my friends and welcome back. My name is Jen. I am a quantum manifestation expert, an inner healing coach, and a spiritual business advisor. If you have just found me, I'd love to welcome you aboard to my YouTube channel. And on this channel, I aim to put out 2 videos every week, all about the art of combining mindset manifestation with some stops in the middle. Everything basically that I think you need in order to become your best self and to live your best life. So if that sounds like something that you are interested in, then be sure to hit that subscribe button. So as I said at the top of the video, today we are going to talk about the subconscious mind and particularly about the secrets the subconscious mind is holding. So before we dive into that, I want to just give you a quick overview of what the subconscious mind is and why it's important for people like you to understand it in your own world. So we all have a conscious brain and you are very well acquainted with your conscious brain. Your conscious brain is the one that you talk to all the time, that you have control over. And this is actually one of the reasons why people that are into manifestation and the law of attraction get a little bit frustrated, because we see our conscious brain, we see what we want, we know what we want, we know what our goals are, yet we still find it so difficult to actually manifest these things into our life. So one of the reasons for that is because of your subconscious brain, and I'm going to tell you all the things your subconscious brain is doing for you. Well, not all of them, some of them, so that you can kind of understand why it is so powerful and why you really need to start to sink into your subconscious and reprogram that part of your brain if you are serious about calling in your desires, okay? So this is the thing. So you know your conscious brain, right? But there's actually a huge part of your brain that you aren't really aware of. And it is just going through the motions and is doing things on its own that you probably have no idea about. So of course it's our subconscious brain. So of course we aren't at first consciously aware of these things, but you can become aware of them if you take your attention to them, and you can change these things over and over with time. So one of the examples that I always like to use is, I'm pretty sure everybody who's a driver has done this at one point in time, where like when you first learn to drive, you are so freaked out and you're so nervous and you are, you know, really tense the entire time you're driving a car. But sooner or later you get used to driving. And at one point in time, you're going to find this very unnerving experience. Like you've just driven home from work or you've just come home from somewhere and you are parking the car in your driveway and you just think to yourself, oh my God, I don't even remember getting here. Like I was just thinking about my groceries and what I'm gonna make for dinner tonight and who I'm gonna call later and what I'm gonna watch on TV. And you totally tuned out the entire driving experience. So this is the power of the subconscious mind. You have learned to drive so well that now driving has become part of your subconscious brain function. So you're basically driving the car with your subconscious brain, and your conscious brain is worried about dinner and who you're calling later and what you're doing later and blah, 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 all that stuff. So now you can kind of see the difference. Like, of course, it is still you driving the car. It is still you. You're still a safe driver. It may be if you had a car accident and there was an issue with your driving, then that driving part of you would come back to conscious, being very conscious of it for a while, right? And then you'd eventually reprogram it and put it back in that safe subconscious zone, right? Because your brain just really wants to put things on autopilot because that's way easier for it to operate that way. So it's easy to see that with something like driving, but when it comes to the other aspects of our life, our subconscious brain is doing this stuff without us even realizing it. And like I said already, this is one of the pieces of why it is so difficult for so many of us to manifest what we want. We actually have programs happening in our brain that we aren't aware of that are actually getting in the way of us getting our desires, which sounds completely insane, but your brain is operating in some ways at a very basic level. It is operating on a level where its main objective is to keep you safe. And one of the things it is trying to keep you safe from is from experiencing negative emotions, right? So if you've had a negative emotion emotional experience in the past, your brain is trying to keep you safe from that. Thing is, we've all had emotional negative experiences. We've all had those times, right? And no matter what our brain does, no matter what we try to do now as conscious adults, we are still going to encounter those same experiences again. But the difference is now, actually, as an adult, we are probably better equipped to handle them than we were when we were a child, which is why those things seem so big and scary to us. So you mostly learn through your subconscious brain before the age of 7. So pretty much everything that happened to you up until the age of 7 is like a big, scary, negative event if it's a negative event, or a big positive event if it's positive, right? Like these are very, very well ingrained emotions that seem really big to us because we were so small. Okay, so enough about the background of the subconscious brain. Now I want to get into the specific things that you should be aware of, because we all need to be aware of this stuff if we are serious about changing our life, and if we are serious about changing our patterns. And really, that's what your life is about, right? Like, your patterns right now have given you certain results, which you are living with. And if you want to get different results, you need to change your patterns. And your brain is going to do a little bit of, you know, its thing and try to keep you away from that pattern, just because it is so convinced that it is doing the right thing for you. So the more that you know about your subconscious brain, the more likely you're going to be to actually notice these things coming up for you. And once you notice them, you're going to be able to gain control over them. So as with everything in life, knowledge is key. And the more self-knowledge we have about what's happening in here, the better chance we're going to have of being able to control that and use it for what we really want. Okay, so the first thing I want you guys to be aware of when it comes to your subconscious brain are your secret desires and motivations. And yes, we are not all as angelic and innocent as we would like to believe. I mean, of course, we're all good people, right? Every single person that's just watching this, I know you are a good person. I know that you go through life with good intentions on your heart. However, remember what we learned already. We learned that our brain is largely subconscious. We learned that our brain likes to protect us. And we learned that a lot of things that happen to us before the age of 7 are very clearly imprinted in our brain. So if you can think of a time in your past, in your childhood, where you experienced feeling rejection, or feeling betrayed, or feeling abandoned, or something like that, it is probably a program that is running extremely well still inside of you, and your brain is still looking out for situations like that, right? So this is the funny thing, well, not funny thing, this is the thing that happens to everybody, but pretty much everyone I know is actually still doing this without them knowing it, like myself included. Like, this isn't me pointing fingers. This is just the way humans are. We all tend to act out stuff, unresolved stuff from our childhood, because part of our brain is perpetually trapped in our childhood. So this is the stuff that you might not want to acknowledge. But like, for one example I can give you of this is, I've met so many women who really, really want an amazing, loving relationship, yet they end up in relationships with men that are not loving or amazing, but men who are actually kind of cold and distant, who they always have to chase after, and they never quite feel secure. And the reason for that is, like, to completely generalize, is because that is what their relationship was like with their father when they were young, right? So in a certain way, it is familiar. In a certain way, they desire that because they associate those feelings with the loving male presence in their life. So that is just one example, but I'm sure that you can think about some secret motivations, secret desires that you might have for the things in your life that are occurring that you say you don't want, but you actually secretly, deep down inside, your subconscious mind is really on board with them for whatever reason, whether that's because they seem familiar, or because they're protecting you, or because this is just what we always do, etc., etc. There's so many reasons why you might actually really want the things that your conscious mind says it doesn't want. So think about that. Again, the more knowledge you have, the better. And if you can uncover this stuff, this will really help to free you and give you back control over this situation, whatever that situation might be. The second thing I wanted to talk about today is our old shadow selves. So what I just spoke about could be referred to as like our shadow motivations, our shadow desires. But I believe we also have shadow former versions of ourselves that are kind of neglected parts of us that we have actually not only neglected, we've fully rejected, because being there in that moment, being who we were, was so painful. So why does that matter? Well, you are the sum of all your parts, and every single version of you up until now has been a very important and integral part of who you are today. So it is really hard for you to fully love yourself and fully love who you are today if you reject the 16-year-old version of you, if you reject the 8-year-old version of you, if you reject whatever version of you came before. So if that's not making sense, let me just give you an example. Maybe you had a time in your life, maybe in 6th grade was really rough for you. You were going through your ugly duckling stage. I was definitely in my ugly duckling stage in 6th grade, by the way. Maybe people were mean. Maybe your friends all turned on you. Maybe you had some sort of humiliating event, right? So it is very common, I mean, I shouldn't say it's very common for kids to have those things, but it's very common for children to have some sort of extreme event in our life at some point in time where we felt so abandoned, so rejected, so alone. And one of the ways that our brain copes with that is to try to figure out how to never let that happen again. So how do you never let that happen again? If you feel like you were rejected because you weren't cool enough, you figure out how to become cool. You figure out how to let go of that version of you. You figure out how to pander to your audience. You figure it out, right? And that is very much a coping strategy, but it is a coping strategy that is basically condemning yourself, right? It's like you're siding with your captor. It's like you're siding with your torturer, right? You are agreeing that this part of you wasn't good enough. And so we all do this to some degree. So please extend yourself a little bit of love and just have a little compassion for what your brain is doing. Again, it's all about protecting you and keeping you safe. But the problem with this is that many times you can be a full-grown adult and you are running around with motivation in your life today that has nothing to do with what you actually want and everything to do with you reacting and rebelling against a former part of you. So that is not a good place to be. And I really emphasize this idea of integrating every part of us and integrating all those former versions of ourselves because they were important. They were so important and they are still an important part of us. And if you can't love that part of yourself now, even just thinking about it in your brain, it's going to be hard for you to really love and accept who you are now because some part of you is still afraid that you're going to go back there and you're going to have the same experience. So really important to be aware of your former shadow selves as you try to change your life and manifest new amazing things into it. So the third thing I wanted to talk about today are reactions. I'm just going to do a little talk about this because this is one of the trickier things to control. But if you've ever had a big, intense emotional reaction to something and you said something or you did something that later on you were like, ooh, that wasn't nice, or that wasn't cool, or I shouldn't have done that. That is your subconscious brain. So I'm not saying that because I'm allowing you to write off that part of you. But when we have these big, intense reactions, again, there is a part of us, our little reptilian brain in there that is just trying to protect us, right? So in a lot of the mindset work I teach, we can slow down the reaction. We can try to figure out the story we're creating and we can get control, keep control of our own integrity, of our own actions, of our own words. So it is possible to do that. Of course, it is absolutely possible to control your reactions. But this is just a really good thing to be aware of, especially if you're the type of person who reacts a lot or who has big explosive reactions or who is blaming people for their reactions. This is from your subconscious. Again, it is all just part of you protecting you, but it is still you. You cannot shirk off the responsibility of your actions. So if you're doing things that aren't in alignment with you, then it is time to do a little bit of inner work and get control of that. Okay, the fourth and final tip that I wanted to talk about today is a big one, so I left it for the end, but it is the idea of self-worth, which is such a huge issue. And again, I've talked about this in my other videos, but really self-worth has so much to do with manifestation. And this is one of the things that so many people get wrong. So for example, so many people will be like, I need to manifest more money, I want more wealth in my life, etc., etc., etc. And then they, keep happy thoughts and they, do the 5 by 5 5, or they do like these things where they think it's going to help them to get money. I can tell you right now that you don't have to do any of that stuff. And in fact, none of that stuff is going to matter if your self-worth is not on board with having the money. So that might sound weird, like why would I want to manifest it if I didn't think I was worthy of it? But money is a huge emotional issue, and so is love, and so is success, and so are every other thing basically. But most of us have a real big feeling of lack around money. Maybe we came from a family that had a bunch of lack issues and scarcity issues. Maybe we saw people struggling and worrying about money all of our life. Maybe we are subconsciously afraid that if we have money, that our parents won't love us the same way anymore. There are so many things that can get in the way of you actually feeling worthy of the money that you want, right? And unless you do this inner work, unless you get curious about what's happening in here, then you might be accidentally pushing the money away from you. So self-worth is tricky because it's not like you can take a test and be like, oh yes, I passed the test, I am worthy now. Self-worth is something that we have to grant ourselves. So I'm going to go out on a limb and give you this very extreme way to look at it. But if there's something that you really want in life and you don't have it right now, then you do not feel worthy of it. Because if you felt worthy of it, it would come in naturally, you'd already have it, you'd have thought about it, it would have happened, it would have been here by now. So if it's not here by now, if you're struggling in this over and over again, you've got some work to do on your self-worth issues. And if you're interested in doing that, I go more in depth into this in my brand new Mindset Alignment School. If you want to learn about that, come on over to the website and check it out. I would love to see you guys in class. These are all also issues that are an amazing thing to go through with a coach like me, especially one like me who is interested in subconscious reprogramming. Subconscious reprogramming really is the key to unlocking so much that you want in life. So if you're interested in learning more about coaching, then come on over to my site. Thank you guys so much for watching this video today. And it was a little bit of a longer one, but I hope this really illuminated some of the secrets of your subconscious mind. If you like this video, please do me a favor and give it a like. If you want to learn more about me, come on over to the site. I have my free How to Feel Better course for you guys to take over there. Come on over and sign up for updates. I would love to send that out to you right away. Want to watch more from me? You can hit my latest upload right here, or you can go ahead and take it all the way and hit the subscribe button right here. Thank you guys again for being here. I'm wishing you an amazing week. And as always, just remember, get ready for the miracle. See you guys.